are meteorologists or scientists who record climate every day. And the temperature of today will be different from that of yesterday and different from that of tomorrow. So on an average, if we see a temperatures of continuously over a period of 25 years or a period of few weeks, then you know in the western India there is Rajasthan state. The Rajasthan state receives the lowest rainfall when compared to the whole India. So there is always a typical desert climate in Rajasthan, which makes the Rajasthan very hot and a dry state. Then moving on to northeastern India. In northeastern India always there will be lot of wet climate and more rainfall. Then talking about Kerala. Then Kerala will be very hot in the summers and during the monsoons it receives lots of rainfall. So Kerala will be very hot as well as wet also. And then talking about Srinagar from Jammu and Kashmir, it will be moderately hot. So the rainfall, the winter, the summer, everything will be moderate, not too high or not too less. So that is about climate. Then we shall see how animals adapt to these climate. The climate and adaptations, adapted to survive in different conditions where they live. So few animals and plants are adapted, their body have some type of modifications so that they survive in those conditions where they are living. Suppose they live in extreme hot or extreme cold or extreme frost areas, so they are adapted to live in that. So in extreme cold and hot regions, they will have some adaptations to that so that they blend with the atmosphere around. So what is the definition of adaptation? Adaptation is the process of adjusting itself to the environmental conditions around it. So if any plant or animal is said to having some adaptation, the adaptation means the process of adjusting to the environmental conditions. Then what is habitat? They adapt to the habitats around them. So habitat is an area which is inhabited, that means which is occupied by the plants or animal species or other living organisms. So habitat is an area which is occupied by the specific organism. So that is about adaptation and habitat. So we see many adaptations in many animals. Usually camel. Camel is a desert animal. So it is adapted to live with less water content in its body. Then we have fishes. Fishes are adapted so that they live throughout their life under the water. They take oxygen from the water, they take food from the water. Then penguins. Penguins live in extremely colder regions, so their body is adapted in some way to live in those colder climate. Then polar bear. Polar bear lives in only snowy regions, so its body has some adaptation. Then birds. As we know, there are many migratory birds. Migration means moving from place to place in the search of food or shelter. So suppose if an animal living in a particular country, it can only survive in the colder climate. So when that region has summer, the plant will fly to millions of kilometers, some thousands of kilometers to other area where it is colder. So it moves in the search of food, shelter and climate. That process is called migration. So birds migrate from country to country and continent to continent during few specific seasons. So they also have specific migrations. So in the polar regions where it is colder, which region comes under polar regions? Canada, Greenland, Iceland, Norway, Sweden and Alaska in the USA. All these are polar regions where we find lots of polar bears and penguins. Then tropical rainforests where there is lots of rainfall in India. Such regions are India in the world, Malaysia, Indonesia, Brazil, Congo, Kenya and Nigeria are known as the more tropical rainforest region areas. So here animals or plants are adapted to live in the more rainfall regions. So now we shall see how few of these animals, what adaptations they have in their bodies to adapt to the climate and the environment around them. So adaptations of animals in the polar regions. So how animals are adapted to the many different types of climatic conditions. So in the polar regions, usually the climate is very cold always and it is always covered with snow. And it is almost cold most of the year. The first 6 months the sun doesn't set in that area and the next 6 months sun doesn't rise. So in those polar regions in the first 6 months sun doesn't set and in the next 6 months sun doesn't rise and sun doesn't rise. And in the winter the temperatures will go up to minus 37 degrees centigrade. That is too much extreme cold, right? So the animals living in these regions need to have certain adaptations to cope up with these adverse climatic conditions. So what are the animals that live in the polar regions? Mainly we have polar bears, penguins, some types of fishes, some type of insects, mammals, etc. Then moving on to polar bear. What adaptations does polar bear have? Polar bear, you know, it is usually whitish in color and lives in the areas where there is lots of snow. So polar bear has white colored hair over it. The polar bear is usually white in color. The white color fur or hair, what does it help the animal? How does it help the animal? It helps the animal to protect itself from the predator and the prey so that they don't see it. So whatever animal comes to eat the polar bear, it will not be visible because of the presence of the white hair, because it will be totally snow around it. So it mixes with the snow because of the presence of white hair. And if suppose the polar bear wants to eat some animal, even it will be not be visible to that animal also because of the presence of the white colored hair. It mixes with the surroundings around it, because all the surroundings around it are whitish in color. Then it has strong sense of smell. The strong sense of the smell helps to locate the prey, locate the food. Prey means the food of the polar bear. So the strong sense of smell helps to locate the food. And the layer of fat, it has much layer of fat around below the skin. So the layer of fat acts as insulation. Insulation means protects against the extreme warm and extreme cold climates. So layer of fat helps in the insulation, protection against the extreme climates. Then thick layers of the fur. Even the hair present on its body has 2 or 3 layers of hair over. That polar bear has 2 or 3 layers of hair over its body. So that thick layer of fur or hair keeps it warm in the cold climates. Keeps itself warm. When you cover yourself with the blankets in the winters, you feel warm, right? Why? Because the woolen blankets trap air inside them, and that blankets are a poor conductor of heat. So the body heat which escapes outside, always there is heat evolved from your body. So that when you cover yourself with blankets, the heat which is evolved from your body doesn't escape into the surroundings. The blankets act as a protective shield and prevent the air evolved from your body to go into the outer atmosphere, thereby keeping yourself warm. Same way here, the 2-3 layers of the skin, they trap the air and the heat and keep the animal warm in the colder climates. Then long, sharp and white claws. The legs are modified into long, sharp and white claws that helps the animals to swim and walk in the snowy conditions. Then moving on to the penguins. As you know penguins, you might have seen penguins in the TVs, the National Geographic or Discovery channels. They are usually white and blackish in color. They have small webbed feet. So penguins also live in the polar regions, in the extreme cold regions, and they have a thick layer of skin definitely to protect itself from the extreme colder climates. And it has a layer of fat also to get the insulation to protect from the extreme cold. Then it have a streamlined body which helps the organism to swim. Then the feet have web-like feet. You know, spider makes web, right? So those web-like structures help them to swim in those climates. Then they huddle each other to keep warm. So you see, when you see in the televisions or movies, the penguins will always touch each other tightly. That means like hugging, it is huddling each other, touching each other. So those they keep touching each other always to keep them warm. Suppose sometimes if you are feeling warm, you do your hands like this. That means what happens when you do like this hands, when you rub your hands against each other, heat will be evolved. You rub your hands against each other to evolve heat and you keep it like this, or you keep it on your body. Same way when 2 organisms huddle each other, they rub their bodies against each other to produce heat. That heat keeps their body warm. Then other than polar bear and penguins, there are many migratory birds. They birds travel 15,000 kilometers to escape the extreme climatic conditions. Then they have built-in sense of direction. Every year they travel the same distance and they follow the same route, and they somehow remember the same route. How? Maybe they have a built-in sense of direction and they use the magnetic field of the earth to remember that direction. So every year they almost travel from continent to continent, country to country, city to city. They move. 15,000 kilometers is a long distance, right? So these birds travel to the same place every year. Then taking the examples of cranes. Cranes are white colored birds, right? Look like ducks and white in color. So the cranes migrate from Siberia. Where is Siberia? Siberia is somewhere in the Russia. So from the Russia they travel to Rajasthan and Haryana to protect themselves from the extreme cold climates. Then other than these, they are fishes which move to the warmer regions when the temperature is winter. If there is winter, the water will be much more colder, right? So in those winter, they move to the warmer regions. Then musk oxen, reindeers, foxes, seals, whales, mammals, insects, all these also have some kinds of adaptations in them. So So adaptations in the tropical rainforest. Tropical rainforests are usually they have hot climatic region because they are located near the equator. And in winters also the maximum or the minimum temperature in the winters will be 15 degrees centigrade and the maximum temperatures in the summer will be 40 degrees centigrade. And they have equal length of the day and night. And they have more rainfall. Even though they are hot, they will have more rainfall area. In winters, the minimum temperature will only be 15 degrees centigrade. So it is a more rainfall area and the duration of the day and night will be equal. And in the world, where are these tropical rainforests found? They are found in Assam in India, Central America, Central Africa and the Western Ghats of India. In these regions, more tropical rainforests are found. So these tropical rainforests, because of the diverse climatic conditions, they support lots of life in them. Suppose they support lots of varieties of plants and animals in them. So what type of animals are adapted to live in this tropical rainforest? Lion-tailed mac, or also known as bearded ape. This is one type of animal which looks like a monkey. It has a silvery white mane or a hair-like structure which extends from its cheek to the chin. Then what happens? It feeds mostly on the trees only. It feeds on the fruits, it feeds on the seeds, it feeds on the nuts. Thereby it doesn't have any necessity to come to the ground. So most part of it stays on the trees, it feeds on the trees only. So that is one adaptation of the lion-tailed mac. Then we know Indian elephant. Elephant has long trunk which helps to get its food. The long trunk helps the elephant to get its food. It has something called tusks or white colored teeth. Those tusks help the elephant to eat or tear the bark of the trees. Elephants love to eat the bark of the trees. So thereby the adaptation, having the tusks or white colored teeth, they are so sharp and strong that they help the elephants to eat the bark of the tree. Then elephants have long ears. Those ears protect them from extreme cold and hot climates, and as well as they help in hearing of the elephant. So that is one adaptation of the elephant. Then moving on to monkey. Monkey have long tail, long branched tail and long hands and legs. Those help the monkeys to hold on to the branches and get their food. That is the adaptation in the monkey. Then you have red-eyed frog. Red-eyed frog have their feet modified so that they can climb on the plants. So the red-eyed frog have their feet modified so that they can easily climb on the plants for the purpose of food. They also eat even the insects. Then moving on to the toucan bird. The toucan bird has very long beak. That beak helps it to get the food like insects, fruits. Because of the weight of the toucan bird, it cannot stand on the small sprout branches. The branch will break. So that is the reason toucan bird has highly modified beak. The beak is so long that it can get its food easily from the trees like seeds, insects, fruits, etc. Then big cats like tigers and lions, they have a very thick layer of skin. That is the modification in them. So in all these animals, what are adaptations we see? They live on the trees in the tropical rainforest. Then they have long tails like monkeys so that they can hold on to the branches and get their food. Then they have long and large beaks like for example toucan bird that helps it to get its food. Then they have bright colors, they have sharp patterns, they have loud voice, all the animals. Then what they have? They diet on the fruits. Because they live only in the forest, they diet on the fruits. They do not depend much on the other animals for their food. And they have thick skin like tiger and lion. The big cats have thick skin. Then they have very sensitive hearing, but they have very sharp eyesight so that they can see their food easily. Then they have the ability to camouflage. Camouflage means the ability to blend with the surroundings. So all these animals have the ability to camouflage. So these are the adaptations of the tropical rainforest. Hope you have understood all the adaptations of the animals, what is weather, what is climate, how we measure them, and how different animals are adapted to live in these climatic conditions. So in this class you have learnt only the ability of animals to live in. You have learnt the ability of animals to adapt to the various climatic conditions. In class 9 you will learn about the weather and climate adaptations to the soil.